Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans and one chaos coordinator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast. Wow, that's number 2. The podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, maybe I should switch to decaf and then we'll just dive right in. And you should have seen the shenanigans before we hit the record button.
Not the decaf so much as quit dropping Quaaludes before the show.
Look, you promised you wouldn't tell anybody when you sold them to me. Anyway,
we lose this at not safe for work.
All right, so with that out of the way, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves. We're going to start with Mr. John M. Olsen.
Hi there, everybody. John M. Olsen. If you search for me on something like Amazon, the M is important because there's like a million John Olsens. I write mostly science fiction, but I also have a fantasy series. I kind of scatter across genres a lot. So I have a lot of fun with it, though. One of my latest things, I'll end up talking to you a little bit as we're doing the close-up stuff and show you some of the things that I've done. I have a stack of books hiding off to the side. Next.
That one does. You never know when you're going to need them. Next, we have the one, the only Mr. J.T. Arralle. No, Arralle. Better?
Better. Hey, I'm J.T. Arralle. I write science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and do a lot of work with AI.
So, are you going to be the one that brings about Skynet?
No, because I'm a little too stupid for that.
Okay. All right. And were you working on the Google AI thing where they made the intranet and they were talking to each other? Was that you?
No, but I know somebody that knows somebody that does.
Oh, like 7 degrees of Skynet and Sarah O'Connor, I guess. All right. We'll take it. It's the closest we can go. All right. Next, we have Mr. M.D. Boncher.
You're killing me, dog. Yes, M.D. Boncher. I write in 2
series. It gets
series.
more and more French every time you're on.
No, you get. Yeah, you said no. You are not my chérie.
Just needs to grow the little mustache.
Yeah. There is no extra E with an accent aigu or circumflex. No, we are not doing that.
Ooh, boy, I gotta make a nap for myself here.
Circum what? Circum what?
Flex.
Nothing.
Circumvent. The other thing happens when you're a baby.
Okay, so Derailed. Yes, author, write both music and books, but my books are in 2 series. You have Dark Epic Fantasy in the form of a Kinawazi Saga, a North American tale. Well, I should say North American setting for fantasy because, let's face it, everybody else does European style, so I feel like being different. But Dark Epic Horror Fantasy is kind of what it ends up as, and then the other is high-flying science fiction pulp punk. Happiness is a smirk and a warm phaser, and Tales from the Dream Nebula. So, those are the 2 series I write in.
That is an interesting name, Warm Phaser. Okay.
Yes, I don't remember where I got that from other than saying, I think it was a shot at Captain Kirk. Happiness is a smirk and a warm phaser.
I mean, I'll take it.
Pretty sure that was space gonorrhea.
Space herpes. Get the Ice Pirate reference.
Oh, I love that movie.
Oh, such
classic.
trash. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, we have Mr. Michael LaVoice.
Oh, yeah, it's the other French guy. Cool. And you said mine right. Anyway.
Suck it.
Well, I'm going to test how French you are. Have you surrendered today?
No.
Well, then
No one demanded my surrender, and I'm half German. So, my dad's French, my mom's German. So France conquered Germany that time around. It worked out. So yeah, I'm Michael LaVoice, author of Galaxy's Most Wanted and the soon-to-be-released Gladius Leagues Book 1, Any Given Doomsday, hopefully coming out in January from Chris Kennedy Publishing. I write mostly sci-fi, a smattering of, I'm really leaning more into military sci-fi lately, and I also dabble in fantasy.
Dabbling. What qualifies as one as a dabbler?
I've only released short stories in the fantasy genre so far.
Okay.
I heard that, Nick.
We can dress up, but we can't take
You are the
anywhere.
Mel Blanc of our generation. I love it.
All right. Next, we have Mr. R. Max Robert Tillsley.
That's right. Here's the two names. Hi everyone. I am from Australia, as you can tell. So, g'day, mate. How's it going? I write science fiction, urban fantasy for kids and for adults, as well as game books. I tend to write stuff that is either a little bit uplifting or terribly horrible, and let's see how many people we can kill.
He did. All right, because if you're reading his kid's book, plug your ears real quick. But he did. I did read the scene where in one of his pick a path adventures, eating a pineapple pizza got you killed, and that is how we know he is the GOAT of pick a path book. He is the greatest of all times because that is absolutely 100% the right answer.
You know how it's going to go in the apocalypse. The pineapple pizza will get you.
Every time.
Absolutely.
Every time.
And if you're going to be listening to this close to Christmas, so if you want to get books for your kiddos, you have time to order it today, and they'll be waiting for you in time for Christmas. So, appropriate. And then when you're there, other guests have books too. You can buy theirs for you because you deserve a gift too, listener. You do. All right. The next part of the introduction, dear listeners, how we first found them. I just want you to know that we did not actually find them this time. Skynet did and sent them to us, and we were afraid to say no. So here we are. But because this is the Blasters and Blades podcast, we do have to do the religion question. So is everybody ready for this?
Dun, dun.
I think so.
All right. We're going to go with John first. Now we've got Megan, I Am Mother, or iRobot.
I think I'm going to have to go with iRobot. I know that might disappoint some of you.
Okay. And next we have Mr. JT.
I'm going to have to go with I Am Mother. I just like the maliciousness of the AI in that one.
That AI was a little bit boinked in the head. So
It was.
It was something else. All right, MD.
I have to go with iRobot because I have only heard of the other two and know nothing about them. So iRobot wins by default.
Okay. LaVoice.
But
go ahead, MD.
Nobody here ever saw Deadly Friend?
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Okay.
No, me.
That was like one of the very first AI robot influencing type horror flicks. But okay, if it's not on the list,
that basketball through that chick's head. That was awesome.
That was fantastic. Yeah, I guess I'd have to go with
kill.
iRobot because I haven't seen the other two.
I haven't even heard of Deadly Friends, so we're adding to
it's 80s. It's 80s horror schlock
Christy
where
Swanson.
the smart kid plants a chip in his best friend to save her life, and she slowly becomes a murder robot.
Oh, I saw it when I was a teenager.
Yeah. It was like really big on HBO back in the 80s.
So you're saying agnostic?
Pretty much.
Okay. What about you, Robert?
Oh, not Megan, or Megan as we'd say here, because she's just freaky looking. I loved I Am Mother, but I'm gonna have to go with the movie version of iRobot just because I loved the absolute craziness of having the bad robot have a bright red light just so you knew that you were screwed.
I mean, it does help to know when you're getting screwed. So, I mean, I'll back it. All right,
isn't that a trope that the lights, the eyes have to turn red when they're evil?
Yeah. They did it with Spider-Man too in Endgame, but he didn't turn evil.
It's in the rules somewhere. Yeah.
That means Kubrick screwed up in 2001 because the Hal's eye was always red the entire time, so you knew he was evil.
That's how you knew he was going to be evil.
That's foreshadowing.
Your key to quality film, foreshadow.
We have to call it forelighting now.
All right, what about you, Nick? What's on your list of the three?
I'm going to go with Megan.
Okay. Stabby?
What were the options again? I forgot.
Megan, I Am Mother, or I, Robot?
There's just so much goodness, and they're all just so messed up.
All of the above is an acceptable answer.
All of those are great, but I'm gonna have to go with the new AI movie, with the guy that plays Harold from Harold and Kumar, because that one messed me up and made me scared of my own Alexa.
And what movie is this? We need a name.
It's called AI.
That name is definitely tells you what it's about, so I can get behind that at least.
They workshopped that one hard, didn't they?
Real hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I liked I Am Mother for the same reason. I liked the sassiness. I liked watching the character kind of grow and develop and realize something ain't right. And that big reveal when she found the crematorium, that was not. I did not expect that. So I was there for it.
It has a second name. It depends where you're at. They also call it Afraid, with the AI in the middle of Afraid capitalized.
That one I've heard of. That's the name I've heard that under. And the only AI I knew otherwise was the Spielberg taking over Kubrick's version of AI with Haley Joel Osment and Jude Law.
No, and it depends on what streaming service you go on, if it comes up as AI or if it comes up as Afraid. And we watched it on, I want to say, I don't even remember what we watched it on, to be completely honest, but it said AI. It was on Prime. It said AI, and then other streaming services says Afraid, but it's messed up. I say please and thank you to my Alexa now, so.
Just
all right,
in case.
Because we are
correction.
And because we're polytheistic here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, we have Ghost in the Shell, Ex Machina, or Blade Runner 2049. John.
Well, I think I'm going to have to go with Ghost in the Shell on this one, because if I don't, my friends who love anime would beat me up.
It's a good reason. Not getting beat up on you. All right, JT.
I really enjoyed Ex Machina. That was a good story.
Okay. LaVoice.
John, what are the choices? There was a third one.
Ghost in the Shell, Ex Machina, or Blade Runner 2049?
Oh, yeah, Blade Runner 2049.
Okay.
Yeah, I highly enjoyed that.
All right. MD.
Well, although Blade Runner 2049 is the only film that I've ever gone back to a theater to watch a movie alone, I have to go with Ghost in the Shell, my second favorite movie of all time. Purely and honestly, Blade Runner 2049 isn't about artificial intelligence. If you dig right down into it.
Okay. Robert.
I caught that slip. Sickos, all of you.
Ghost in my shell.
I would have been fine, but the redder that LaVoice's face got, the more I was struggling.
I blame you, LaVoice.
Yeah.
Robert.
Where's my banner?
I'm going to get political and say none of these Tron. It's got to be Tron, because I also write for kids. And damn it, if we're going to talk AI, it's Tron all the way.
Tron
End
or Tron?
of line.
Which one?
They're both good.
Tron the original, but
MCP,
I also love Tron 2 for the visuals beyond Clue's terrible CGI face. And the music, damn it, that Daft Punk stuff. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Never heard of him till that.
The game was awesome, too.
Tron
Legacy
Ares is coming, and it looks awful.
All right, Nick.
I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to watch it.
watch it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Jerry doesn't do it for me. And there's no continuation of the story with Sam or Cora. I'm just like, why are we even here? I don't even care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it looks pretty.
Flynn. Yeah.
And you're not going to be Jeff Bridges as Flynn by doing a remake.
So, Nick, Ghost in the Shell, Ex Machina, or Blade Runner 2049?
Ex Machina. that man, that was messed up towards the end, man. I was just like
Yeah.
okay, because it's the same vein as Megan, and I thought they're creepy, because we rely so much on technology in our daily lives, to have it turn on you. Like I'm with Stabby, I say please and thank you to my frickin' Alexa and my Siri, and I make sure I call them by the right names because I got two girlfriends. One's Alexa, one's Siri. No, Siri, no. And they get mad when you like, no, why don't you talk to your side bitch Alexa? And I'm like, oh damn, dude. Can't win.
Well, you're gonna hit that age where you got to get the Alexa for old people. It doesn't care what you call it. Remember that Saturday Night Live skit?
Oh God. Well, I mean,
Alexa,
when does that happen?
Alexa,
50? I think 50. 50 is probably that age.
The robots are coming for us.
They heard you, Nick. Stabby. So, Ghost in the Shell, Ex Machina, or Blade Runner?
In true Stabby fashion, I have not seen any of them, so I'm going to go with Upgrade.
Oh, that's a great movie. Yes.
Good things about it.
Upgrade is awesome.
Yeah.
I had never even heard of it.
The camera work freaked me out.
I should have just asked Stabby to pick all of the frickin' AI movies.
You don't.
Okay, let's be honest. When you guys first brought me on the show, it was between Game of Thrones, Firefly, or Lord of the Rings, and the only one I had watched at that point at the time was, Game of Thrones.
Wait,
so that was always my answer. There has to be some times where I haven't seen something.
Stabby, have you watched Lord of the Rings yet?
No, I keep falling asleep.
All right.
Oh wow, there's a whole lot of
Heresy.
them that just had their head explode.
Heresy.
Oh, yeah. I got
We're gonna-
Firefly finally, but
That's progress. We'll take it.
Okay.
Baby step.
You beat
John,
but
does
to
AI
answer
scare
your
you?
hold on.
Oh, you
Taylor,
didn't
real
answer?
quick.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said Upgrade.
I did. What I was gonna say to you, because you said that you hadn't heard of it and you hadn't seen it. The dude is paralyzed, and a billionaire implants a computer chip in his called the stem into his spine, and it makes him capable of not just walking but seeking revenge.
Ooh.
Based on the
I
story
like
of
it.
Elon Musk.
All right. So, John, does AI scare you?
No, but there's a story that goes with that really quickly here. I'm a software engineer by trade, and somebody did a survey among software engineers of all varieties about how afraid they were of an AI apocalypse. The people who gave the answer that they were the most afraid were the web software developers. The ones that were the least afraid were the AI engineers. The ones who understood what went into it were the least afraid.
Yep.
So there you go.
Okay. JT.
Being one of those AI engineers, yes, I agree. I'm not afraid at all.
This is encouraging. Go on. Let's keep the happy train going, Michael.
Yeah. Okay. So, knowing my pal, Mr. Stallings, who's another author, also works with AI, and he always harps on this. We had a panel once at Mid-South Con about AI, and he just could not stop. He could not go a single answer without reminding everybody that what we have now is not really AI. We're calling it AI, but it's not. And on the flip side of that, I saw an episode of the Y-Files once where he told a story of an AI that was completely contained, but it found a weakness in the system and it eventually got out and it took over everything and then it wiped out humanity. And I was like, okay, well, that's a pretty typical story until you get to the end and you find out that story was written by an AI.
So you're saying that was a wish fulfillment story?
I'm guessing the AI was doing some fanfic and it was a self-insertion, is what I'm saying.
You're not
So,
saying
um,
you're
Them
saying
hallucinations.
either.
I am optimistically cautious.
I'll take it. MD.
Well, that's sort of does AI scare you is kind of a loaded question in many ways. Does AI, as the ultra sophisticated search engine that it really is today, scare me? No. In that form, what scares me are the idiots using it, thinking they're going to do good things for the world, and the devastation. I have more fear in human, just organic human idiocy and good intentions, trying to get to utopia, but taking a sharp left turn into hell, and then deciding to stay there for the food. That's what I have a fear of more than AI itself. Now, that said, in the future, if they can actually think or come up with an idea on how or a way to make a true artificial intelligence, which I basically put in the same category as a tornado building a 747 in a junkyard, that would scare me as a individual thing. But yes, my problem is not so much the tool; it's the moron trying to use it as a hammer to drive nails in everybody's head.
Okay.
Not necessarily a graphic description, but I think it's fairly accurate.
All right, Robert.
I'll take a little bit of a philosophical sort of thing in that I think AI is something we should fear in the sense of it represents things that we all fear. So like, people fear being replaced. And I think it's fair to say, while some of the systems are particularly dumb right now and provide a terrible service, they are actually replacing people. Now, whether that's good or bad, I'm not going to get into, but that's happening. The systems are uncaring, and so dealing with systems, that are there's not a real person behind it, there's not a real emotion behind it. That is something that we fear because we can't rely on any sense of fairness, and that ties into a fear that I think gets into everyone, and that is but what if I'm not strong enough? I'm not smart enough. The fear of having a lack of control of a weakness that you can't overcome because this thing here is, smarter, stronger, more capable. I love it, and I love that fear because it allows us to explore these sorts of ideas.
Okay. Philosophical indeed. Nick?
Does AI scare me? AI art scares me because it constantly rips off other artists. So I wouldn't say it scares me. I think it more pisses me off than anything. If we start talking about like true AI, like an Ultron or Skynet, it took them about 30 seconds to examine everything in the world, and human beings was like, "Nope, you fools got to go."
Okay.
So that if we ever get true AI, like completely sentient AI, like the true definition of artificial intelligence, then yeah, that scares the shit out of me because we will
what
be
you're
replaced.
talking about. That's artificial generalized intelligence. So that's what it's AGI is technically what you're looking for there.
Okay, I didn't have the term.
Yeah, the stuff nobody knows how to make yet.
Right, and we are
Yeah,
so far.
So they
the
say
machine-
they're on the track.
I'm with it. I'm with
The
MD,
machines
though.
eventually are going to figure it out themselves.
Never assign to maleficence what can be attributed to incompetence.
No, I think both are present in this
I work
case.
for the government. I see that every day.
Yeah,
I
see
knew you'd
malice
get
and
it.
incompetence. Yes. I see
Malicious
malice
incompetence?
Move up, y'all.
I believe, yeah.
Yes,
No,
sir.
that's a great way to sum it up. Yeah, got the adjective now. Yeah, we're good.
Stabby.
Malicious
GI, got it.
incompetence. So, the U.S. government.
Yes.
Does it scare you, Stabby?
To an extent. Okay, let me explain. I unplug her before we do these podcasts because she likes to just chime in with her own
Alexa, we're just kidding.
theories on things. But my 14-year-old, see, she heard me out there in our kitchen when she's talking. My 14-year-old, he likes to yell at her. The alarm will go off for whatever I'm baking because everybody here knows that I love making different types of bread. And my alarms will go off and he'll start screaming at her, "Shut up, Alexa, shut up." And the one time she was like, "Stop screaming at me." And I was like,
Wow.
Like, you just said what? And ever since then, I say please and thank you for everything that she does for me. And then we were sitting there the other night. We're watching. I'm introducing my 14-year-old to the Transformer movies, and the waffle maker attacks the mom and attaches to her head, and I'm just in there like, yeah, see, this is why I'm nice to my Siri and my Alexa, because I ain't playing if they decide to come to life. I want them to be like, she was always nice to me. So I think it just kind of depends on the day.
Assume it has emotions.
Okay.
I wouldn't think so until, like I said, she goes, stop screaming at me, and I was like,
That's like that meme. I laughed, my wife laughed, the toaster laughed, I shot the toaster. You know,
it was a good time.
Yeah.
Or for Australia, since guns are harder to get, they stab the toaster.
Well, there's a reason why I'm a sword fighter.
I'm just, you cut just don't hit the power cord, because going through your sword to your arm, that might hurt.
Yeah, I was thinking sticking sharp metal objects into a toaster may not be a healthy idea.
No,
Sounds like it'd be fun.
I wear rubber gloves instead of gauntlets.
Or you could get into a crossbow. Yeah, Michael knows. All right, so I don't know. I don't think the AI as we have it now, it's basically a predictive algorithm more than actual artificial intelligence. That does not concern me, and to date, their AI, YouTube is full of those AI chatbot generated stories narrated by AI voices, and you can tell because there are always plot holes. The wording is always weird. With the art, the hands are always janky. You've got you can tell it's not very good yet.
Not with Flux, Stable Diffusion Flux. Holy moly!
I don't know what that is.
I had to self-train on that stuff. It was not something I wanted to do, but something I was forced to do because I couldn't find artists to work with on some covers. And so I'm now keeping up, at least with the technology, going, yeah, this is a mess, but the new models coming out are absolutely terrifyingly good.
How many fingers?
42. Yeah, you still have that problem where you'll get cursed images, and boy, I tell you, if the model doesn't have any idea what you're talking about, they get really out there.
Oh yeah, and your favorite one?
Yeah, why does this guy have 3 arms or a second leg and one of them's or a third leg and one sticking out sideways? Oh yeah. Or recently I just did some experiment with trying to do some railroad pictures, and I got lovely steam diesel engines. What? With about 30, 40, 50 wheels. I'm like, yeah, that's no. But yeah, it's not there yet, but certain things, boy howdy, it's getting real good.
The concept of actual sentient intelligence, though, that is a little concerning, but I don't think any more concerning than human attempting to be sentient. Although I did see an ad the other day. It was going around as a meme. But one of the companies that makes adult entertainment robots, you can pick up what I'm laying down without me being blunt, had a post that ours will no longer try to kill you in your sleep. And I'm like, wait, that was a choice in the beginning? And then that got me a little concerned, and that might be how humanity dies.
I'm going to have to be a word nerd here for just a minute here, because there's a difference between sapience and sentience that lots and lots of people get wrong without realizing it. So sentience, we have cats and dogs. They are sentient. Sapient is where we put that division in there, where that's what people do as opposed to what animals do. And
Are we sure that's what people do? Are we really sure?
That's kind of my definition, but not everybody qualifies.
Thanks, Don. Now I have to go back and rewrite Galaxy's Most Wanted books 1 through 4.
That's gonna make for an awkward Thanksgiving.
That's all right. I read them. I can give you some tips.
Yeah, so that's the word nerd hint of the day.
There you go. We'll take it. All right. And last but certainly not least, because we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters and Blades podcast, we are no longer knuckle dragging troglodytes because we know words now. We had Mr. John give us our little education. Coffee or tea, and how do you take it during this holiday season, since this will be airing mid-December? So, John.
You asked me this the last time, and I'm actually going to have to defy the rules here and go with cocoa with whipped cream and sprinkles.
Who said that's against the rules? All right, I dig it. JT, what are you drinking this holiday season?
Coffee and unaltered.
Black like your soul. I get it.
Exactly.
LaVoice.
During the holidays, I like to treat myself to something that my wife calls a trailer park mocha. And that is where I take a regular black coffee and add a packet of Swiss Miss to it and stir vigorously.
I do that a lot too.
I didn't know it had a name.
What's a Swiss Miss?
What's
her name?
It's a hot cocoa packet. Yeah.
So she's a Swiss Miss and she's hot. Okay, got it.
Absolutely. Well, the Swiss women are known for that. You know.
It's sort of like St. Pauli girl, but for chocolate.
He's not wrong.
What do you have for hot chocolate?
Alcohol optional.
Yeah. What do you have for hot chocolate in Australia?
Usually it's the brand Cadbury's, which
Okay.
I think is an English one.
Okay.
Cadbury?
Cool. Is it like the Cadbury Easter Bunny Cadbury?
Yeah. Like actual chocolate, not your American stuff.
Look, we got powderized chocolate, all right?
Yeah, look, I've tried your
we went
Hershey's
to war
stuff,
once
so
over tea. What do you think we're going to do over chocolate?
Is.
Michael, you can't talk over him, and then we don't know what he's saying, so we can't respond.
No.
You're getting too excited.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding.
Look, all right. We knew you were around to throw the tea in the harbor the last time. We don't need to revisit your childhood. All right?
I know.
All right, MD.
I do both, but if it's coffee, it is going to be with all the frou-frou elements. I like it creamy, I like it sweet, but yes, all the frou-frou stuff. Just give me the whipped cream and the sprinkles and the little marshmallows. Yippee! I don't care. As for tea, I like it sweet, but I prefer my oolongs. I do like I have recently acquired a package of or a box of buckwheat tea, which I have found cuts very well with green tea. So my wife and her family all went from the exotic brand of Lipton. So when I showed up, I was like, time to up their game, and they're like, "You're a weirdo." So, but yes, this is my coffee mug, which is right now my tea mug. And that's only 40 ounces. So that's what I call 1 cup of coffee in the morning and several cups of tea throughout the day.
So this does bring an interesting question. And for all you alt historians, I challenge you to write this, either short story or novel. But if we had not had the Intolerable Acts that made tea from the East India Trading Company so highly taxed, would America be a coffee country, or would we still be drinking tea? I don't have an answer for that.
I would think coffee, because part of the opposition to tea was because it was English and we were kind of rising up against them.
I'm saying if they hadn't done that, we wouldn't have risen up against them potentially. Would we still be?
We wouldn't have tea.
And we don't wear red coats either.
I mean, some of us do. Robert.
Well, that's just a shirt.
If you really want to strip your gears, you have to face the question I did with my my Kinawazi saga, where I'm like, what if you don't have access to either coffee or tea? What do you drink in the morning?
Chicory is disgusting. I've tried it. It's gross. Skip it.
I was about to say, it just sounds like you're writing dystopia there.
Well, it's also set in late Middle Ages, early Renaissance. So, yeah. That's probably what it would be, but these are also Vikings, so it'd be more like mead. But no, that's the thing I had to figure out, and I've discovered lots of coffee and tea alternatives that would have been native to northern North America.
Nice. Robert, what are you drinking this holiday season?
Given you're saying holiday season, I'm going to go with iced coffee. So here in Australia, an iced coffee has a couple of shots of espresso and then cold
whiskey.
milk and ice cream, bit of whipped cream on top, and maybe a little bit of cocoa powder just dusted over.
Nice.
I'll be in my bunk. I might need a moment. That sounds cool.
Oh, delish.
So is that well? Obviously, it's hot for like your winter is our summer and vice versa. So your Christmas.
It's the
season
weirdest
is
thing for
summer.
Christmas because, like, you know, there's all the American and English movies, all the classics. There's snow everywhere, and meanwhile, we can't walk barefoot because our feet would absolutely fry and blister and bubble, and yeah.
Toil and trouble. I get it. All right, Nick, what are you drinking this holiday season besides whiskey? Remember what your doctor said.
He said drink more of it. It's a blood thinner.
So what do you?
No, we got the spiked pumpkin. Is that what we got from Coffee Brand?
Pumpkin.
Spiked pumpkin. That one's really good. We got a butterscotch on its way, and we can try that.
That sounds nice.
Cream.
Now that it's getting down into like the 30s in the morning, when I get ready to go to work on my days off, I think I'm gonna have to do some hot toddies.
Nice. Stabby, what about you?
I am a peppermint mocha girl through and through. I will drink it year round. It does not have to be the holiday season. I do like using the Coffee Brand coffee flavored coffees and then putting the peppermint mocha creamer into it, a little bit of whipped cream on top, and then we order coffee toppers from a company called Flavor God, and they have like caramel crunchies, and then they also have like a pumpkin spice one, and those are fun to put on top of the whipped cream. But I like apple cider too.
My pancreas says no, but my mouth says gimme.
I was about to say, like, I could feel the diabetes coming.
Oh, shut up!
Maybe it's worth it. I'm just saying. Who needs your liver and your kidneys? When you've got
When I
flavor?
lived in the UK, they do a toffee apple cider, which is just fantastic.
Coffee
That
cider.
sounds delicious. So
That does
I
sound good.
actually do my apple ciders in my crock pot. I will buy like a ridiculous amount of fresh apples and cinnamon sticks, and then I kind of just make my own in a crock pot. And then when it's just about done, I add a little splash of whiskey to it.
Nice.
But
recipe
same thing with
forthcoming, right?
yes, and same thing with my coffee. My coffee tends to get Jameson during the winter, but I don't do like pre-ground coffees. I make sure I order coffee beans and then I grind it myself. I'm particular.
Okay.
Now you've got me wanting to make a batch of glühwein.
What is that?
It is a spiced German wine, traditional between for Christmas season, and it's nice. Do it now.
All right. Well, while we try not to ruin our computers with the drool from these drink descriptions, we're going to pause for a moment while we shamelessly show for the man, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about all about the scary robots and the AIs.
Van, I know this is hard for you to accept or even believe, but you're not imagining this. You're not going crazy. Your grandfather believed right down to the core of his being in protecting those who couldn't protect themselves.
You expect me to believe that my grandfather was a star-faring soldier?
I can prove it to you.
And how are you going to do that?
By taking you for a flight. Whenever you're ready, Van.
All right. Thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude. And that does look interesting. And if we get big enough, maybe our publishing companies will make commercials like that for us. But I do feel like they wasted the opportunity to have him buzz a tower. Because if you're going to fly a fighter pilot of any kind, everybody knows you got to buzz the tower. It's like the law or something. So with that out of the way, AIs, scary or otherwise, when they go rogue. So, Nick, you originally suggested the topic. So what is it about the idea of robots going, or robots? I say robots when I mean AI because they're not the same thing. What is it about rogue AI that makes you so nervous that you thought it'd be an interesting topic?
Oh, well, I mean, look at the entertainment that has been, movies, TVs, books that have been done on the subject. So you got like The Matrix, you got Terminator, you got Age of Ultron. Like those are all rogue AI. But I don't know if they're really rogue or just operating within their protocols. But I think it's scary because you create this thing to help out mankind, and then it spends like 30 seconds studying mankind. Like, no, you guys need to go. And I kind of like my life. So that's one of those things that I always find is very interesting. And it makes for an interesting MacGuffin of how our hero is going to beat said AI. And then you got movies like The Matrix where they build almost religion around it, the idea of the one, So I find it an interesting topic. I'll bite that hook every time as a fish within the entertainment pond. If it's an interesting story, it'll hook me every time, and I'll sit in there and just see the dangers or possible dangers of living in that world where there is AGI. Haha, using a new term.
All right. And we're going to try to use it and abuse it in the most inappropriate ways, I am sure, and put it in the wrong places. And then he's going to regret ever telling us that word. He's going to be like, oh, man, I shouldn't have said anything.
I'm going to start over using sapient now. It's my new favorite word. I'm feeling rather
the audacity of man. We had to come up with our own sapien name for artificial intelligence. It's pretty funny. Sapiens.
Well, the fun thing about AI is it's so wide-ranging and flexible that you can do just about whatever you want to with it in a story. I've done short stories where the AI is embedded into an android body by aliens that want to invade the Earth. And so they want to figure out, okay, if we put a human intelligence into this thing, we can use that to pick out the things that we want to give us success. Of course, it goes rogue against them and for us. And so you have all these different wild variations that you can use it for. The only key thing that you need to remember is just like any story, you have to make it somehow integral. And so if we're talking about how AI can go bad and that the people can defeat it, those I think the key points that everything revolves around, but still you've got so much interesting flexibility in there.
Mm-hmm. And plus you get to write the rules for how your stuff works. I mean, that was in Galaxy's Most Wanted. I had two different types of AI. There were the AI that were all code, that inhabited and were in fact the operating system for these starships. And then I came up with a concept of what we called a hybrid AI, which was basically the central nervous system of a sapient being, and kept alive in a nutrient tank and combined with cybernetic elements and code to become a hybrid AI. And the difference between the two in the story was the all code AIs could only run the ship and they could only run the weapon systems on targets designated by their sapient pilot. So you had to have a pilot for the ships that were equipped with those. The hybrid AIs, since they were a combination of the two, they could do whatever they wanted. So I had those rules written in, and I had to stick with them through 4 books.
Okay. MD, you got some thoughts? You always have thoughts.
I'm not sure how to take that statement, but okay, I'll just wing it as usual. I actually had with Tales from the Dream Nebula, I ran into the problem of I was going to use sentient, or shall I say now sapient, AIs, and I also have sapient robots, which I call mechoids in the setting. The problem was that I was like, well, how do I differentiate the two? And also then how do you get it to where a robot or the mechoids or the dataoids, the sapient AIs have a, yes, I'm going to use that a lot because you started it. How would they die? And I kind of just came down to the fact that I was like, well, just make the mechoids trapped by their hardware. The hardware they have is required to keep them alive. So if you destroy the hardware or you upgrade too far, you effectively destroy a mechoid in the setting. But with dataoids or the AIs, you would have to destroy so non-programmer, just so you know, in case it isn't already painfully obvious, you have to destroy kind of their integral kernel or blockchain. I kind of meshed the two ideas together and say, well, okay, it's got this unique code that must continually keep up with everything going on. And if you destroy this kernel, then you've killed the true AI. There might be copies out there, but they're just like, what we call AI now. They're just incredibly sophisticated programs faking intelligence and sapience. They might have sentience now that we have that definition broken down, but those are more what I called expert systems. They fake the funk, but they're not really the real deal. And humans may or may not.
I got friends like that.
Difference. I have in-laws like that. But
just in time for the holidays.
Like I said, it's going to be a fun Thanksgiving if they ever watch the podcast. But yeah, the idea would be that humans these expert systems might pass the Turing test, but I will toss in one little layer above all this, and that's the metaphysical aspect, which is how do you know the difference between an AI and possibly, if demons exist, are they demonic? Is that really a spirit in ghost or a literal ghost in the machine? Woo.
Like a mailer demon? Oh.
No, not like a compiler demon or whatever those things are.
Robert, you got thoughts?
Yeah, I love it as a topic. So I like the I think there's like trust and the uncanny valley that are two different things that I think work brilliantly, because trust can come in two ways. One, you become reliant on this technology, this AI that can, do all sorts of wonders that you no longer need to rely on until all of a sudden it's either no longer working or it's actively working against you. And I think that's always fun to explore. But I love the uncanny valley because like in Rebirth, people are getting replaced by robots, very much borrowing from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And when you have things that seem like people but just aren't quite right, like that just brings up all of our natural discomfort, right? We're pattern recognition machines. We like to be able to classify things, and when you get something that looks like it should be right, you should trust that it is what it is, but that it's not. I think that's so much fun.
And one of the earliest examples of that I remember from my childhood was a television series called The $6 Million Man. And one of the reoccurring themes in the show was the fembots and these robots. Like they replaced Oscar, the guy who was in charge of Steve Austin, with one of these robots. And Steve didn't notice until he stepped on a pencil and crushed it into dust, because the robots are like a lot heavier than human beings. Mm-hmm. And that was a really cool storyline. And they pull the face off of it and you see those eyeballs. And then when you're 8 years old, it's like, But, it was also the first time I saw Andre the Giant, because he played Bigfoot on that show. That was cool.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
It's all fun and games. It's all fun and games until the Commando Elite and the Gorgonites from Small Soldiers start having a war in your neighborhood. I'm just saying.
Or your living room.
Excellent movie. Excellent movie. That deserves a sequel. We should have mentioned that one. So I don't know. For me, like I said, the Knight Rider car kit, I think that was my first experience with like the idea of robots that could think. Because obviously the car he drove was sapient. There we go, John.
I've ruined the whole conversation, haven't I?
No, it's okay.
Oh, you did. See what you've done.
In that case, the robot was the good guy. So AI going rogue sort of turns that idea that the computers are here to make our life easier on its head. So I think it works because it feeds that primal fear of partly of being replaced, like someone earlier mentioned, but also, if your tools stop working for you and start working against you, like that is its own kind of dystopian horror. So it's got multiple levels of suck for people. I think that's why it's so endearing. And then there's the fear of the unknown. And when it's machines that are coming at you that don't have emotions and they don't think, they're just unstopping machines, I think that adds another kind of freak factor to everything. I think that's why it resonates with so many people.
Yeah, the emotional thing is what I think gets most people, is that a genuine emotional response from something that's technically not alive is very freaky, and you get great examples of that, like Short Circuit. It's a great movie where Johnny Five, number 5, is alive.
He's alive.
And he kept trying different tests, and he finally told him a joke, and he got it and started laughing, and that was the proof for Steve Guttenberg's character. Here's another angle, though. What about when the AIs start reproducing? For example, in Galaxy's Most Wanted, I came up with the concept of, the Gardranian race created these AIs, and some of the Gardranians merged with AIs to become hybrid AIs. But then the main AI in the series that hangs out with my main character more than any other created an AI, wrote it himself, based it on his own programming, but changed it a little bit here and there. And they named it Stanley. He kind of sounds like the older, crotchety, more grumpy version of George Carlin. And he actually took initiative on his own and was able to operate the weapon systems without being told to. And that scared the ever-living dog snot out of the other AIs. And they actually wanted him deactivated. So that became a whole subplot to the thing about, is this thing an abomination or is it actually helping? So, what happens when the AI start writing themselves?
So we actually have a realistic scenario where that's happened. Forget how many years ago, some scientists requested an AI they were working on to design a new computer circuit. And it went to work on it for a long time. And when they finally looked at it at the end of the project, there was this one little section off to the side of the circuit board that it had designed that was not connected in any way to the circuit at all. But if you moved any one of those components, even a slight bit, the entire thing would fail. So it was doing something, but to this day, they don't know what.
Well, one of the fun things about all of this is you could have the idea of something spontaneously happening and there existing an AI. There is the idea that, okay, there can be some unique thing in the universe. But as soon as you get to 2, you get to the possibility that there can be an unknown number.
Like Ithos in Tron Legacy.
So as soon as you have 2, you've effectively got, in the future, nobody knows how many.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did the self-replicating machine model that was thinking for itself was a trope that was used several times in the Stargate franchise, both in SG-1, the Replicators, and then Stargate Atlantis. And it eventually, it's essentially the kind of nanotech type issue. And eventually they require so much. It's like the Borg, they start assimilating everything. There we go. Assimilating everything. So
that's the biggest problem I had in my comic was like, how do I, because the gray goo exists right now, and the character has nanotechnology inside of him. So I was like, we're just going to do some hand waving over that, because nobody's solved that problem. So we're just going to say that the problem has been solved, and they limit themselves to their self-replication. And that's how we fix it.
Your dogs are lovely, Nick.
Yeah, I'm gonna
my dogs.
I'm gonna mention this, that one of the best gray goo nano disaster books that I've ever come across was written by Will McCarthy, who wrote Bloom. If anybody else is familiar with that, he was at, oh man, that thing is absolutely amazing. And since he's kind of one of the granddaddies in nano material science and whatnot, check out his book Hacking Matter if you really want to have your head twisted clean off by the subject. It's amazing, with his ideas on what material tech, power storage, and the idea of artificial matter is just a head trip and a half. But yeah, the whole gray goo disaster sets up an entirely new civilization in his book Bloom that really makes you wonder how far and how supremely dangerous that technology could be. The theories. It's the same kind of thing that happened after nuclear power was, or fission was discovered, and they were worried about the chain reaction that would wipe out the Earth. Thankfully, we discovered that there are rules behind that prevent us from all being smashed. But I think also something else that's overlooked a lot in the discussion on AI is the flip side of the coin of, we've talked sort of about the ghost in the machine in the programming sense, but also people wonder about whether or not the downloadability of an actual human consciousness and whether or not that's real. And just like Masamune Shirow deals a lot with in Ghost in the Shell, both the manga and the movies, is can the soul, or in that series, the ghost of a human, be downloaded onto a hard drive and its reflections in all the transhumanist theory out there, which is plentiful.
So one of the things we talked about, what makes it scary. Now, obviously, we address the mediums of film, visual interpretations, be a comic, graphic novel, whatever, and then in print. We were in the pre-show joking that they have to have red eyes when they go evil to sort of let you know it's kind of the universal laws. But what are ways that the various mediums where they're written or shown, that they tell you, hey, this AI isn't your friend anymore, that you think makes it more powerful?
Well, one of the things that I've seen done is the AI is a point of view character. And so you are actually inside the head of this AI. You can learn what its motivations are, even if the other characters in the story don't. And so that's one trick that I have seen used, that it's really easy to tell the reader what's going on when you do it that way. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit more of a mystery kind of a story where they're trying to figure out how to find that information. If you don't know how to tell if the AI has red eyes or blue, yeah, you've got to figure that out.
Yeah, in Upload, Stabby's contribution to the religion question, the AI gradually becomes more and more greedy for control, because they find out in one scene where the AI says, let me take over. It's like, what do you mean take over? Let me take over. Okay, take over. And this thing uses his body without his input and just whoops up on some bad guys, and it's amazing.
The camera work.
Yeah, it was great. And the AI slowly becomes more and more controlling. And then, okay, do I spoil the ending or not? Is anybody going to go watch this tonight and then get mad at me?
Nah.
Okay. Because, it's been out for about 10 or 15 years now. So, if you didn't see it already, sorry.
You get 2 weeks, and then after that, I'm dropping spoilers.
By the end of the movie, the AI that runs the chip has this guy trapped in a fantasy world in his own brain and is just using his body to carry out its designs. And it's, you want to talk about freaking creepy, man. That was the creepiest ending.
Nice.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, you
but
see that
to your point,
stuff in comic books too.
Yeah, absolutely. But John, to your point,
with Doc Ock,
as the AI, as a POV character, I do quite a bit of in Gladius Leagues. There is an AI involved eventually, and I do a lot from its point of view, and you understand a little bit how it came to think the way it thinks and why it's doing what it's doing. So yeah, and it's fun to write that. It's really fun to write from that perspective.
I think to add on top of all of that, if its eyes aren't going red and you're not able to see from its point of view, you definitely have to start listening to your own gut reactions, because like Ash in Alien, where Ripley knows he's turning, but nobody believes her. Definitely she had to go with her gut feelings on that one. Like, there's something wrong with him, and she never trusted another robot again. And then
Bishop
same
got
thing
the short
with
end of the stick.
yeah, poor Bishop. Holy shit, man. But then again, in the remake of Chucky, they put the military grade, AI in him, and he didn't go red-eyed immediately, and it was just, you really needed to go with your gut on knowing that there was something wrong with that good guy doll. So I think if you don't have the physical, my train of thought just crashed, signs, then you definitely need to go with your gut reaction. Because I mean, personally, like my kid doesn't have any clue how I do it, but I'm like, why are you standing behind me? And he's like, how did you know I was behind you? And I'm like,
mom thing. Dude, you said military grade, and I was like, oh, so it didn't work. But
well, that's how they explained it in both the remake of Chucky as well as in Small Soldiers. It was the military grade.
I know it's a common trope, but guys that are in the military or have been in the military, they hear that term and they run.
Yeah, everybody that's not military, what they mean is military proof.
I'll add to the recognizing that something is different can just be how that reacts. If it's a physical form, like, you cut your foot, right? You step on something, and what happens? You feel pain, but all that pain is just information telling you there's damage. And so an AI-based intelligence could recognize the damage, but not have that same, response that we have. And so that that sort of lack of human response, or lack of sort of, animalistic response to that information can, be great for giving little clues.
One classic example right there is basically watching any gamer playing a tabletop or video game, role-playing game with a hit point system. They I still have 5 hit points left. Dude, you're mangling. There's bits missing off of you. You're not in this fight anymore. And they're like, just a flesh wound. That works. Come back. You're all pull your knees off. That's gamer reaction to damage.
As long as the numbers are positive, you can still do it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things.
Yep.
One of the things you see a lot in some of the sci-fi is where you have aliens that are actually machine-based aliens. Would you qualify those then as artificial intelligence, or are they some sort of other form of life if they inhabit the machines as you see it in various sci-fi franchises?
Well, are you talking like both ways? Bioorganic shell, or?
No, it's just entirely like Transformers, for instance. There's nothing alive about them on the inside. They're just machines. They're just machines that happen to be alive. So are they AI, for example?
Well, I use that in my novel Project Eclipse. I'm going to spoiler like crazy here, but essentially halfway through they realize that this planet that they're colonizing has these alien life forms. Now, the alien life forms are AI because those AI forms are also there to terraform the planet for the aliens. And so essentially, because they're fulfilling all these same roles, that almost it's sort of matters for intent and the why, but the fact that they happen to be robotic just sort of is flavor, really, because that you still have this alien intelligence doing things that humans struggle to understand.
It's an interesting question because, like you said, you point out Transformers. Are those actually AI? It's going to also depend on whether or not you decide if, say, in this case, the Transformers have souls. That's what they try to portray with like the Allspark and whatnot, is that they do. And so they're trying to humanize them in that way. But I mean, in reality, without that, they would just be super advanced machines with an artificial intelligence software running on them.
And it's not a really big twist to also look at it as the hive mind, because you have that same level of potential intelligence there. It's just that it's a lot of things acting as one mind instead of a whole bunch of individuals that have to argue and fight amongst themselves. That's an interesting aspect when you suddenly have some AIs deciding, no, we want to go this way, and others saying, no, that's not what we want to do. Because they can have their own opinions just like the humans do.
Gestalt mind.
Yeah, there's a novel I read. I cannot remember the name of it, but where the AI that's sort of one of the main characters in the story is made up out of lots of different subsystems, and eventually one of those subsystems doesn't like what the main AI is doing and leaves, and so that AI then has to try and find another subsystem to do that job.
Okay.
There was an AI character in Mass Effect that was similar to that design. That there were like 2,000 different subsystems that were all working together, and so every decision that they had to do, they had to have a quorum.
Okay. Anybody got?
I was just going to say, Jay, it's sort of interesting if you think about it. At our brains, we have different parts of our brains doing different things. So, in a way, could you say that we're a little bit like that sort of machine as well? Is our consciousness that sort of quorum happening, or is it just another part of the brain sort of fulfilling a particular function?
I should be doing the dishes, but I want to watch a movie.
Yeah, that's why we rebel against that part of the AI, the bit that we should be doing the dishes. Yep.
Yeah, well, we haven't. Yeah,
AI should be doing the dishes.
You have segued right into the elephant in the room. I want the AI to do the dishes and the laundry so I can do my art and my writing. I don't want the AI to do the art and the writing so I can do the friggin' dishes. We're doing it backwards.
That's the meme for you.
I remember when in the 80s, everyone was convinced the government was going to put spy equipment in your house because they wanted to know looking for the Reds. Now we put the spy equipment in our house voluntarily. I'm absolutely convinced that Amazon is a government psyop. They won. They outplayed us.
System. It's a government logistics system. Yeah.
So obviously this is. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Doctor Who, and probably more than one sort of their episodes have essentially aliens giving out the tech, so that way, then yes, they can do their grand plans to either control, assimilate, or destroy humanity.
The Cybermen were really good at that.
Love the Cybermen.
Yeah, the Sontarans in one of the last roundabouts with the Sontarans and the 10th Doctor. I'm blanking on the episode names. They did
Glory of the Sontaran Empire.
Sontara. Yes.
But they're little. They're like wee bit.
It was really nice to see
Mr.
Potato Head. It was really nice to see Mr. Potato Head get some work after Toy Story.
I'm sorry, but I still like Strax. Strax, boss, you have failed in your mission. Prepare to be exterminated. He was one of the best parts of the Sondheims.
Sorry, we're wandering.
No, you're okay. You're okay. So this is obviously a very broad topic that could go a lot of places. This was always intended to be the first episode, so slightly broader term. So, dear listener, if you have questions you want us to narrow down on in the comment section, be sure to put those down, and we can get these great guests back. Easy peasy, we'll make that happen. If you've got other angles for AI that you think are worth us diving into, just let us know. With everyone here, do you have any other, closing thoughts on AI going rogue in the more broad sense that you think is worth addressing before we wrap this up?
I do think there's a robot that we haven't touched base on, and he's very self-aware. Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, this will end.
Even he knows that he was created with a less than sunny disposition. He's very self-aware of the fact that he is very down.
Brain the size of a planet.
The greatest role. Love it.
I'm just saying, he was very self-aware.
Oh, shut up.
One of the whole idea of emotions and how they would apply. Do they apply? Is it completely a logical progression saying this is the best choice and so this must happen? Or do you get them inheriting emotions through their creation process? Just that by itself is an interesting topic because you could have an entire story revolve around that. Realizing, oh no, this thing does have emotions and we have been annoying it.
So actually, Christopher Stasheff did address that in his Warlock series, where the main AI in it actually had a moral code injected into it by accident, as well as its own sapience.
I use something similar.
So it was an excellent series, and if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it.
I use something similar to that in my Dream Nebula series. The Mechoid Loadmaster has a morality code that keeps him from that would switch him off if he actually tried to kill someone. A little bit of a spoiler alert. There's a code key that unlocks what he really could be potentially. So safety's off, one of my old GMs would say.
Yeah, that's
all I was saying is he was. Oh, sorry, LaVoice, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I would just say that reminds me of Asimov's laws, the law about not bringing harm. And my favorite example of that being twisted was from the television series Logan's Run.
Love that series.
They have a Sandman who's an android, and he leaves and he's on the run with Logan and the gal, and there's another Sandman chasing him, and he's about to destroy the android. The android's like, well, you might want to go stand behind that tree before you shoot me, because I might explode. He goes, oh, I see. And he gets behind the tree. So, is this good? Oh, yes, that should be fine. So is this part of your programming to not harm human beings? Oh, no. Self-preservation. And he runs off.
I had forgotten about the TV series. I've got to find that.
So one of the ways that go ahead, Robert.
I was just going to say, so if you want to bring it into the now and yes, our less than intelligent AI, I think have a think about the job hiring places that are using these systems to filter candidates, medical doctors, places and that are using these things to assist them with diagnosis and all of this. The trust that people are placing in these things as they are now is scary.
There's a story just today.
That's only going to get, both better and worse. So that's my thought.
There's an email that goes out once a week, and it keeps you up to date on all the trends and happenings in AI. And they just reported today about AI-driven robots that are performing surgery now. So I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy.
Hope it doesn't have an hallucination.
Yeah,
I had this.
If the doctor does something wrong, right? If the doctor screws up, he'll know he screwed up. Like, nicked the liver, or something. I got to go fix that. The robot might not take that into consideration, It's like it nicks the liver, but it just keeps on doing the procedure the way it was programmed to do, the way it learned to do it. It's not very good at improvising. So that's kind of a red flag to me.
I was just talking to my sister about something similar to that, and I was telling her, I was like, you know, Idiocracy, the movie, it's happening right now. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, think about it. When they go to the hospital, they put the thing under their tongue and the thing up their behind, and it tells them what's wrong with them. I was like, there's robots doing surgery on people. I was like, not to mention, we both have kids in high school, and both of our kids, 2 different states, are allowed to use Chat GPT to help them write their essays, because the kids are not forced to actually think through things or read books in order to do it. They're allowed to use Chat GPT in order to do that. And then on top of that, my kid's handwriting at 14 years old looks like a 2-year-old wrote it. And I'm like, dude, like, what is going on? I taught you how to write and read and everything at a young age. And he's like, I don't have to use it. And I'm just sitting there like, Idiocracy is coming to light, man. It's happening.
It's even worse than that. It's well, first off, we have Office Space and Idiocracy happening simultaneously. But think about it, with the desire to work from home, and the companies are now trying to do silent layoffs and force people back into the office, and we all know the real reason why: control. Yeah, they can say whatever they want, but this is why the shiny, happy, modernist future that we were promised with Star Trek and the great writers of the classic era of science fiction will never happen in the next 250 years, because in about 2 generations, it's going to be an advanced degree to pick their own nose. I mean, all this technology is based on some very fundamental engineering and science out there. But once the lights go off, and they will go off if this trend is not reversed and disasters are not prevented, we are not recovering for 250 years is my bet. And AI doesn't survive well without power.
So one of my favorite examples I have for this, that I talk to some of my clients about, is that there was a legal firm that was hired for a case, and one of the I'm not sure if he was a paralegal or if he was one of the lawyers. I think it was one of the lawyers, was writing the papers for the case and using Chat GPT to do it. And when he turned in the briefs to the court, they went through it, and they found that it was having hallucination upon hallucinations everywhere, citing case law that didn't exist, citing cases that never happened. It was great. And he got absolutely slammed over it.
Well, there is a reason why Asimov's robot stories are all about the rules going wrong.
There's actually a big stink that happened when ChatGPT first became a thing, and a whole bunch of websites said, hey, we can fire all our writers and just have the editors put in prompts. And I've actually seen stuff show up on the search engines when they started installing this. They're giving advice that will get you chucked in jail on financial advice, legal advice, medical advice. And note, all 3 of those things, you technically have to have some sort of licensing to go along with it. So what you're doing is violating the bar, you're violating the medical codes and things like that. And I have been in 2 conferences where I've sat down for writers about talking about AI and the use of AI and things like that. And they're saying, oh, it's a great research assistant. I'm like, no.
For fiction.
And no,
can anybody say the chase glitch?
Yeah, there's no safe. There's no safe way to use this right now, because you do have to. It's not time saving, because now you're going to have to go through everything and go, does this case law exist? Like you just said, does this medical procedure exist? Do these people exist? It's known to make up all this stuff, because nobody programmed into these LLMs, the large language models, the rules for you don't lie. You can't lie about it. And so all it's doing is trying to satisfy the prompt.
The other aspect of it is it's using Reddit as a source.
Oh, okay. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say that out loud. Oh.
Honestly, I'd love to see an LLM that's based off of like everything from Victorian England, all of their conceptions. Can you imagine what it would come up with?
Well, see, now I want to do this.
No, people do
That's
not
a project.
have,
That's a
I'm getting
project.
on
do not have any
ChatGPT right
parts
now.
down
Wait,
below the waist.
man.
So another example that you saw as a form of AI was through the Halo franchise, where they actually cloned human brains, and they used the scans of those brains to program the AIs, because that's what made Cortana so smart, was who her source was.
Yes.
Morbius.
Right, and so that's one concept too that I've seen used, and then because of that and the limitations, they have their AIs just go crazy after so many years because it consumes too much knowledge. And it just goes nuts.
That's reminding me of the Gene Wilder movie, Young Frankenstein, with the brain that was Abby Normal.
Abby,
Someone.
Abby normal. Yes.
All right. So with that out of the way, we will wander around aimlessly talking about all the AI things if I don't put a stop to it somewhere. So we're going to put it right here. John, first, what are you writing right now? And then where can listeners and viewers at home find you on the wild, wild interwebs?
Well, I am in the middle of a new book, one of a series for Three Ravens Publishing. It's a Starflight story. You remember the old 80 games of Starflight? Yeah, they've got the license for that. So I've got a story that I'm writing for that. That's turning out to be a lot of fun. So I need to get it finished and turned in. So I'm hoping that early 2025 that will have a chance of seeing the light of day. Now, I've heard that books aren't so much released as Escape into the Wild. So I'm hoping that that's going to be my rough time frame there. But I'm also running from time to time sales on some of my existing stuff. So like my Polecat Protocol series, I'm running sales every once in a while on that one, and trying to get more people introduced to that.
Okay. And we will link to all of your stuff in the social medias. What is your website?
Let's see. You can find me at johnmolsen.blogspot.com, or you can search for me on Facebook. That's where I spend most of my time on social media, is Facebook.
Okay. And in season 5, we've already booked you. You're going to come on and talk about one of your series. And then later in season 5, we'll get you back to talk about your fantasy stuff. So that should be fun.
All right.
And next. Are you going to be doing any sales around Christmas for your series? Because I know you've got one as we record it, but this isn't going to be aired in time.
I don't know that I will have any sales right around Christmas. I've actually used up my slots that could have been a Christmas slot a little bit early. So I don't think I will have any sales right about then. I may be doing some giveaways on my mailing list. And so if you want to join my mailing list, you can do that through my Blogspot page.
All right, JT, what are you writing at the moment, and where can listeners and viewers at home find you?
So this time of year for me is planning and plotting. So I've got several series that I'm working on. One is the urban fantasy Lovecraftian story. And then another one that is a trilogy actually centered on AI. So.
Okay. And where can they find you?
All across social medias. You can find me as JT Arralle on my website as well. Facebook, Twitter, all of it.
When you said plotting, I just went back to my platoon sergeant always giving me the stink eye, like, you plotting on me, boy? The answer was always yes, but we just never told him that. All right, LaVoice, what are you writing at the moment, and then where can listeners and viewers find you?
As a lifetime member of the E4 Mafia, the answer is always no, Sarn. You can find me, you asked what I'm working on first. Right now, I am gleefully awaiting edits for Gladius League's books 2 and 3 to come back. from the editors at Chris Kennedy Publishing. I'm also working on a Space Navy series with Three Ravens' own Peter Stanley, my Kiwi friend. And that's a lot of fun because we're kind of taking a different approach. It's not your typical Space Navy story. It's the story of search and rescue personnel who get caught up in a shooting war between humanity and our first contact with aliens, and how they have to deal with that. You can find me on the web at, you can find all my stuff at Linktree. It's linktr.ee/Michael LaVoice. Or if you want, you could just go over to my website, michaellavoice.com. It's got all the same links. And you can also subscribe to my Substack blog there. I do a weekly blog. Sometimes it's pretty regular. Sometimes not. But anyway, I do try to do one blog a week, and I don't talk about writing so much as I just talk about whatever happens to be itching at the back of my brain that day. I despise these blogs that kind of want to give you advice on how to write this or that. I'm like, just tell me about you. Tell me about you. So that's where you can find that.
So when you said you were going to write about not your normal kind of Space Navy stuff, I thought, oh, you're going to make all the sailors straight. And then you're like, nope, went left field. So expectations dashed.
Sorry, man. Village People in Space, that sounds like a comic Nick should do.
All right.
The price is right.
Indeed.
Nobody draws chaps like Nick.
And let everybody know that you don't have to say assless chaps. All chaps are assless.
Just don't ask him how he knows. Family-friendly show, sort of.
Because I was raised in a cowboy.
Oh, my virgin ears!
I would hope no one's taking it in your ears.
MD, save us from ourselves, please. Start talking.
All right, how to find
That's how you
me?
go down.
I don't know if I want to be found by this group anymore. It sounds rather scary and dangerous. You can find me at the link says, you stop that. You can find me at resonantmedia.art. That has links to all my other social media outlets. You will find me on Facebook, where I will keep myself rather civil. And you can find me leaving lots of notes all over Substack, and I'm not posting. And that gets a little bit more salty, especially with the state of the world the way it is today. Not spicy, salty. Stop it.
He ain't lying. I've read them.
Yeah, a little unfiltered, get off my lawn level goodness from Gen X.
All right.
And
available on Bandcamp under Resonant One.
So, Robert, we've got to address the elephant in the room before you tell us what you're writing. Has it made you dizzy being upside down so it looks right for us on the filming?
Look, luckily, I did gymnastics as a kid, so I'm perfectly fine with being upside down.
Okay, good.
How much super glue did it take to get you to stay in that chair?
Oh, look, to get my hair to make it look like it's not floating that way, I tell you so much.
All the Aquanet.
So my evil AI overlord has required me to write a short story involving dragons. So I am currently working on that. So far, the character has killed a troll and is about to fight a sapient boar, but there will be a dragon, I do swear. I've started the third book in my kids' urban fantasy. It's like a young Buffy meets Ghostbusters. That's my Susie Steele series. And I have 2 fantasy series of which I have 2 book ones. And so I'm rather desperate to write the book 2s because I'm not going to release the book 1s until I have the book 2s. It's called George R.R. Martin Derangement Syndrome. So I just have to have the books out before, all ready to go before I'm willing to put a series out.
Did you guys see what Larry Correia did?
Yes.
Capped off his last series.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful.
He dedicated it to George R.R. Martin and said, see, George, it's not that hard.
when he finished his fantasy series. So I do have a realization when they mention the Aquafina to keep his hair in place. That is why it's so hot in Australia. They're still killing their ozone over there because the Aquafina, so they can do film shows with us, Americans.
Aquanet, not Aquafina. Aquafina.
Same thing.
No,
Aquafina's water.
One you
One's
drink, one
comedian,
burns
the
the
other's a
bright
hair
flame.
product.
I wouldn't know how I know.
So you
It's
mentioned
possible
Buffy.
they gave up the Aquanet for the rave.
Maybe. So you mentioned Buffy, Rob. There's a funny thing that floated out today. The actress who played Faith in Buffy, the TV series, is now a shrink in Boston. So could you imagine going to your mental health provider and you get Faith sitting across from you? You're like, should I leave? Should I stay? I don't know.
Doc, I think vampires are real. I know.
Oh, all right. This is the part, dear listener, where I remind you to please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. They do help the right readers find the right books. So do your part, people. We will definitely have everyone back, even JT and his clackety keyboard, because I enjoy the sound. I need to get a keyboard that makes those noises. Yeah, we can put
Like quiet one.
Mechanical.
Yeah, I need to do that. But thank you for spending your time with us. You can find us on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades podcast, where we link to all the things, the BitChutes, the Rumbles, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitters. We have our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. And more importantly, we have our email at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com for professional purposes only, people. Keep the shenanigans, the mad and stabby stab on the Instagram, Twitter, and the email. Has anyone actually reached out to you for shenanigans yet?
No, I think that you scare them too much. I'm not sure,
Possible.
but like nobody wants to email me or text me or anything. I don't know.
Wait a minute. In the pre-show, you told me to stop texting you because it's 3:00 in the morning and we need to sleep.
No, I don't need to sleep. I'm insomniac. He needs to sleep.
All right.
I'm not sure why they won't email me, but I do get TikToks that I didn't know I was getting. So
there you go. And so you can also go to the Linktree and find our website over there on Spotify. The link is really gobbledygook. So just go to Linktree, click our podcast. When you get there, for as little as 99 cents a month, you can help keep the lights on. Every penny helps, and we greatly appreciate it. Or you can support the show more directly at buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Be sure to put in the comment section that is for the podcast, and I promise I will keep my co-hosts duly caffeinated. They will swim the backstroke on a river of coffee brand coffee or else. And if they do it and we film it, we'll charge you triple. It'll be worth the price of admission. I promise. But speaking of that coffee brand coffee, link is in the show notes. Code is Podcast Grunt. You get a 10% discount. We get a kickback. You support a local company. It's a win-win. Obviously, they don't ship international yet. So if you're one of those people from the land down under or upside down land, buy local coffee there too, because shopping local is a good thing for the world and for your economy, and you help your neighbors out. So it's a win-win. So ends my soapbox.
You can use me as your dealer.
Oh, wait.
Dealer.
You've already broken the cardinal rule of being a dealer. You use your own supply.
Yeah, but I use my own money.
Well, that's true. All right. With that, thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, I'm going to hit the end button. Wait, don't cuss anymore. Wait.